super excited. Coming in as a main draw player gives a different vibe, especially with the struggles I've had in the past coming here. So super excited and coming in full force. Yeah.
Question.
The call nobody saw coming. Nobody at WTA headquarters had ever made this phone call before. Not because it was difficult, not because the numbers were close, but because in the entire history of Philippine tennis, a history spanning decades of passion, of players who dreamed bigger than their resources allowed, nobody had ever done what Alex Eala just did. 89%. Let that land for a second. Not 50, not 65. 89% of the fan vote, out of 2,142 people who registered on the WTA's official website just to cast a ballot, went to one name, one player, one 21-year-old from the Philippines who, 5 weeks earlier, had walked onto the grass courts of Europe as a promising talent and walked off as something else entirely. She walked off as a movement. It started quietly in Birmingham. Rain delays, a grueling draw, a 17-year-old opponent on the other side of the net who had absolutely no intention of making things easy. But when the final ball dropped after 2 hours and 35 minutes, Eala had done something no Filipino had ever done on a professional grass court. She had won. The scoreline, 5-7, 6-3, 7-5, doesn't capture what it felt like. Her second career WTA 125 title, her first on grass, a surface she was never supposed to own. "It's one of those days I wish we could both win," she said afterward, still catching her breath. This match was incredible. I think it was anyone's game. That humility, that's the thing that gets you. Because while she was standing there talking about her opponent, the tennis world was quietly starting to pay attention. Then came Berlin, and that's where things got serious. Eala entered the WTA 500 Berlin Open as a wild card. A wild card. She had no business being in the conversation at that level, according to the rankings. But rankings don't account for what happens when someone finds their surface, finds their moment, and decides they're done being polite about it. First round, she came back from 0-40 in the final game to beat Queen's Club champion Donna Vekic. Round of 16, she dismantled Elena Rybakina, world number 2, 2022. Wimbledon champion, a player who owns grass courts, and sent her packing. Quarterfinals, Alina Svitolina, former world number 3, mother, fighter, one of the most respected competitors on tour. Eala beat her 6-3, 6-4, clean, decisive, her 6th career win over a top 10 opponent. "Elena is a great fighter," Eala said after. "To be able to play her today is a great honor. She carries herself with such grace and strength." She said that about the woman she just beat. That tells you everything about who Alex Eala is. The run ended in the semis against Linda Noskova, who would go on to win Wimbledon. But by then, the statement had already been made loud and clear. Eala belonged on grass. Then came the All England Club, seeded 29th, quiet entrance. Nobody outside the Philippines was calling her a favorite. And then, in the third round, on center court, she walked out to face defending champion Iga Swiatek. What happened next stopped the tennis world cold. 7-6, 6-2, Eala beat the defending champion on center court. For a country of 110 million people, it wasn't just a tennis match. It was a national moment. The kind where people stop what they're doing, where group chats explode at 2 a.m., where strangers in Manila airports hug each other over a TV screen. "I think I'm trying to collect my thoughts at the moment," she said afterward, voice full of something that sounded a lot like disbelief mixed with joy. "So many emotions, such an intense battle. I'm really proud of how I fought out there." She lost in the 4th round to Jasmine Paolini in 3 sets. But she had already made history, the first Filipino to reach the second week of a Grand Slam singles event in the Open era. And when the dust settled, she'd gone 12-4 on grass courts across 5 weeks. The best record of any player during the entire swing. Back to that phone call, the executive on the line said, "WTA star of the grass court swing. First Asian player to win it since Naomi Osaka in 2021. 89% of the vote. finishing ahead of Wimbledon champion Noskova at just 7% and finalist Karolina Muchova at 3%. It wasn't a contest, it was a coronation. Andy Roddick, former US Open champion, put it best on his podcast. And when Andy Roddick is fired up about something, you listen. I don't want to hear any of that. Stop talking. This is a movement she is single-handedly creating. A movement of a sect of tennis fandom that largely didn't exist a couple of years ago. That's what the WTA recognized. Not just the wins, not just the numbers. The movement. Packed stands draped in Philippine flags in Melbourne, Dubai, and London. A fan base born almost overnight. A nation that had found its champion and refused to be quiet about it. I am so honored to receive this recognition from the fans, Eala said. The grass court swing was an incredible experience, and I could not have done it without the support of everyone who believed in me. Characteristically humble. Characteristically her. But here's what the trophy really means, and why it matters beyond sport. Philippine tennis, for most of its history, was a niche. A sport for the privileged. Something that happened elsewhere, to other people, in other countries. The idea of a Filipina competing for Grand Slam second weeks, beating former champions on center court, winning fan awards over Wimbledon champions, that wasn't just a long shot. It simply wasn't part of the conversation. Alex Eala changed the conversation. She didn't just win matches. She gave 110 million people permission to dream on a different scale. She showed that the Philippines could produce a world-class tennis player. Not someday, not eventually, but right now, on the biggest stages in the sport. The 89% wasn't just a fan vote. It was a statement from a nation that had been hungry for exactly this. Someone to rally behind, someone who wins and carries themselves with grace, someone who talks about her opponents with admiration even after defeating them. The Eala effect is real, and it's only getting started. The hardcourt season is ahead. The US Open is on the horizon. A career-high ranking of 28 in her back pocket. And somewhere in the Philippines, millions of people are already watching, already waiting, already believing. The WTA finally took notice. The world is next.